Joint patrols in the disputed South China Sea among the Philippines and its allies could begin very soon, the Philippines envoy to the United States said Monday. I foresee it to happen very soon, Ambassador Jose Manuel Babe Romualdez. This time, we're seriously sitting down and putting down the parameters of where the Philippines and Australia, who is obviously very much interested in joining these joint patrols or joint exercises with the United States, and hopefully, Japan will also look at this opportunity for them to join forces, he added. The move is meant to preserve freedom of navigation in the resource-rich waterway, through which trillions of dollars in trade pass annually, Romualdez said. His statement comes after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr's recent visit to the U.S. amid China's growing aggression in the Asia-Pacific region. Marcos earlier said the joint patrols in the South China Sea could begin this year. The countries included in the joint patrols are the U.S., Australia, Japan, and South Korea. Romualdez stressed members of the Association of the Southeast Asian Nations wanted peace and stability in the region. For us, for many of us in the ASEAN region, we want peace and stability in our area because we want more economic activity between the U.S. and the ASEAN, and of course, China and the ASEAN, he said. In the interview, Romualdez disclosed there were no discussions yet on any additional sites under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. The United States and the Philippines this week added new guidelines to a 1951 defense treaty that detail how the U.S. will respond to an attack on the Philippines in the South China Sea. Following a visit by Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos to the White House, the U.S. issued the guidelines saying its commitment to defend Manila will apply to the maritime region, where Manila has complained for years about territorial incursions by Chinese ships. Any attack in the South China Sea on Philippine public vessels, aircraft, or armed forces, which includes the Coast Guard, will invoke mutual defense commitments. The guidelines also say the two countries will coordinate closely on the Philippines' defense modernization, including a review to determine what equipment the country needs that will bolster combined deterrence and capacity to resist coercion. The guidelines recognize that threats may arise in several domains and take the form of asymmetric, hybrid, and irregular warfare and gray zone tactics like using non-naval vessels such as fishing boats as an informal maritime militia. China was not named in the guidelines, but it has been long criticized for using gray zone tactics to claim sovereignty in the South China Sea. Beijing's foreign ministry responded by saying China firmly opposes any country's move to interfere in the South China Sea issue, to harm China's territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests. The South China Sea is home to all regional countries and should not be a hunting ground for external forces, ministry spokesperson Mao Ning told a regular briefing. U.S. President Joe Biden told Marcos on Monday, "The United States remains ironclad in our commitment to the defense of the Philippines, including the South China Sea." Brian Harding, a senior expert at the U.S. Institute of Peace, told VOA No in an email, "It's significant that Biden is using such clear language. The fact that the two leaders are clearly in sync makes the commitments far more concrete than during Rodrigo Duterte's presidency." Duterte made a point of shifting his country's foreign policy away from Washington when he took office in 2016, but his efforts to move closer to Beijing did little to stop China's maritime territorial incursions. Duterte later moved to shore up security ties with Washington before the end of his term. Gregory B. Poling, director of the Southeast Asia Program and Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, told VOA the new guidelines provide more clarity about U.S. responses in the region. Beijing claims sovereignty over almost the entire South China Sea on the basis of historic Chinese maps, ignoring an international ruling that the assertion has no legal basis. The most recent face-off occurred on April 23, when a Philippine Coast Guard vessel patrolling near Second Thomas Shoal nearly collided with a Chinese Coast Guard vessel at a close range of only about 45 meters. There was no discussion on additional sites. It was more on what these sites would be used for. A lot of sites have been chosen because of disaster preparedness, he said. The Philippines and U.S. this year raised their EDCA sites to 9, drawing concern from China.